Best bail bonds and Ewald Kubota brought him to you all year long. He is head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy. Coach, welcome aboard. How's the morning been?
It's been okay, Rob. How you doing? How's man RJ doing?
I'm good, Coach. I just need you to admit to all the people that you're going to miss our show the most.
Yes.
Well, I don't. Did you not get the new contract? We're going to keep going. I thought we were just going to do it all off season.
Well, we would hope, Coach. There's always tacos involved. We're willing to kind of move that a little along, and we would have gotten some more tacos to you today, but we're still dealing with COVID at our taco shop. It's a tough run for those guys.
That's okay. I think it's obvious. I need to take a break from some tacos.
You know, before we get into everything, Coach, I wanted to ask you. So when the off season hits, I know you talked about you got your exit interviews with your coaches and things like that. You know, you got Senior Bowl, pro days, draft. How much time do you get to decompress before it's like, okay, we got to go full speed ahead again? Or is there no decompress time in a job where there's only 32 of them? Do you get any time to decompress? And if so, how much is it?
I mean, that's an excellent question because I mean, frankly, I'm terrible at it. So, you know, it's something that I need to be more cognizant of. I'm not the youngest guy anymore. So, you know, I'll try to do a better job of it. But right now I'm just so dialed into, you know, the end of the season. And I've always felt these exit interviews were so important because, you know, first you get to sit down and have a very, you know, pointed, honest, you know, open conversation, professionally and personally with your players. So, you know, when there's a lot to come out, I mean, there's only 4 or 5 things that come out of the exit interviews that, you know, I'll definitely need to take a very, very hard look at. And then you go through your staff. So if you're really trying to improve, and, you know, even self-improvement, you have to go through this process. So once I get through this evaluation process, hopefully be able to get away for a few days and get going. But I've always felt as a head coach, you know, your best time to get ahead of the competition is February, March. So, and that's just kind of how I've done it. So,
and you know, you bring up exit interviews. I would think, you know, it's a good situation to be in with the owner that you have, because outside looking in, it just seemed like some owners, and that's their credit, are in it to make money, and that's their right. They spend $1 billion, but you have an owner that wants it as bad as you, your staff, and your players.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, if you'd have, you know, been able to see Jerry speak to the team Monday, you know, his passion, his emotion, you know, was just at the forefront of his conversation. So, and that's the way he lives his life. So yeah, I mean, it's there's no blink here. He's, you know, totally into doing what we need to do to get to the next level. But yes, I mean, Jerry's all about winning, no question.
He is head coach Mike McCarthy of your Dallas Cowboys, joining us here on R&R in the morning on San Antonio Sports Star. Coach, I certainly ad nauseum with the last play and the 8 seconds and the 14 seconds and all that. I don't even want to go over it enough. I'm tired of it. I'm sure you are too. But, you know, the takeaway from the season, and certainly we've heard you talk enough this week, is the penalties, both pre-snap, post-snap, combative, all the different things that go into it. And I come into this a little bit differently. I assume you guys work on this all the time. And, you know, I know what you guys do. So when you run into a season like this and it was bad and you see the numbers, and really when it comes down to it, you divide it by 32, and you're really not talking about a whole lot as far as changing, but you do need to slow down on the penalties. How do you change that? Because you've already obviously been working on it. So what do you do differently next year to make it, you know, 2 less penalties a game?
I mean, it's like anything in this game, you know, it's a bigger challenge more and more every CBA contract, because you do have less time with your team. You have less time with your team with COVID. So I think it's all part of the training of your team, and just the chess match in the training competitive arena. And I'm just talking about, where do you spend your time? So we all have the same amount of time with our players. Where do you spend that time? How do you cut it up? And definitely, I mean, it's we need to cut these penalties by at least 1 penalty a game. You know, statistically, 2 would definitely put you where you want to be. So, and that really goes into the specifics of your training, and more importantly, the application of it. And it's primarily in your individual drills. The thing about the penalties that's disappointing for us is, our mental production I would rank it high of the 15 teams I've coached.
Mm-hmm.
You mean they're smart? You got a smart football team.
Well, they're smart, but they play smart.
Yeah.
They've executed. Their mental errors and their missed assignments are definitely in the top 10%. And that usually aligns with your penalty production in my experience. So that's not the case with this team. So we got to take a really deeper look and make sure we're spending a little more time from a technical standpoint on the penalty prevention emphasis and things like that. And that's what we'll do. And so we'll have to give up something maybe in a practice and spend a little more time on this. Those are the type of adjustments you're always making. And frankly, we've been pushing the envelope as a football team to play with a super aggressive play style. So we've accomplished that, and it's important for us to maintain that. But the discipline at playing at that level is really the next step we will take as a team.
Listening to you yesterday, Coach, and what was crazy to me was you said, look, we start off a little bit nervous, and then someone followed up, and everybody has a job to do, and I'm not criticizing anybody. It's like, but why would they be nervous? Look, I only made it to high school soccer, never played college, never played pro. But the first minute or two, I was nervous. So to me, I don't understand why people have a hard time grasping that. Look, we're the Cowboys. All eyes are on us. There's a lot of pressure on us. We're supposed to be Super Bowl or bust. Yeah, it's going to be some nerves. So I didn't think that was something you should have walked back as far as the word nervous, because I think if you played any sport at any level, high school and up, you need a little bit of jello leg to start the game sometimes. It may not work out in the end, but I think that's normal.
Definitely. I just think the word nervous carries a stronger meaning than I was trying to portray. So that's why I walked it back. I didn't, because saying we were nervous would be saying that that we didn't think we could do something. And that's definitely not the case. I think it was just it's the intensity of the competition. And it was the first time for a lot of guys in that intensity. And I just think every game has its own ebb and flow, every single football game, and they're never the same. There's points of those competitive games that are the same, and you want to get into the groove of the positive ebb and flows that you've experienced. And sometimes it takes you a little longer than others. They ebbed and flowed quicker than we did at the beginning of the game. So call it angst, call it plus ebb and flow. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but that's kind of why I didn't want it to be we were nervous, and that's because that's really not accurate. But I think our angst was a little bit, and it just took us a while to get into an ebb and flow, and and frankly, the self-inflicted wounds was our biggest challenge.
Coach, you just mentioned your 15 years coaching around the league. Have you ever coached on a team where the players never did anything wrong, and it was always the coaches that had made the mistakes? Have you ever dealt with a press corps? I think the Cowboys are unique in that. I feel like you've taken a lot of heat for some of the things that, quite frankly, you have no control over. Your job is to put them in a position to be successful. After that, dude, you're going to have to go do it. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Have you ever been on a team where and it's your job to kind of take the arrows for the team? But I do feel like no other franchise looks at the coaches and the players in this kind of way.
Well, I think it's easy. I mean, that's the easiest target. Some people will just say, "Hey, that's what you signed up for." But at the end of the day, I think it's I can't really comment on the why or the how, but I do have a lot of experience on how opinions come versus from one place to the next, and I think it's just really part of the job and just part of the climate that you're in, because. My most important job is to protect that locker room and to make sure that they have the workspace to create an excellent culture, and that has happened, and that was clearly evident throughout the year, and is definitely evident in our exit interviews. I mean, the veterans who've been to other teams are really probably clearly the best conversations you have in an exit interview, because they give you a different perspective.
Right.
And to a man. What we created culture-wise in, the locker room, the workspace, the work capacity, the efficiency of it all, obviously winning, giving us a chance to win every game, the motivation, the emotional drive, the mental conditioning components that we emphasize more this year than I ever have. So I mean, there's so many. I mean, this is going the right way, and trust me, hey, I'm as disappointed as all of our fans, and I totally understand it. But this is the toughest team sport that exists, and to get it right, we put a ton of time in the last play of games and last two plays of games, and we spend pretty much our whole Friday, and I just believe in hard work and return on investment, and that's where we're all disappointed because we put so much time in preparation for the end of the game situations, and we just weren't at our best.
I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, as far as putting in time, because again, we know everything. Y'all don't know anything, and the narrative all week is like, well, they just weren't prepared, like they just don't do that. And we could get to that, but the one thing I do want to ask you about, Coach, is I heard you say that you had an opportunity to talk with Dak. Now, somebody that's worn that star on his helmet, won 3 Super Bowls, and Troy Aikman. I don't know if y'all talked about the tape and talked about the game as far as the San Francisco game, but he felt like there was a lot of opportunities for Dak to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. It was a lot of one-on-ones. Is that something that, would you agree with that assessment, that Dak missed a lot of opportunities to get the ball to probably y'all's best playmaker?
I'll say this: we didn't get the ball distributed enough, and I think that's obvious by our numbers. Mm-hmm. Our rush plus completion was only 45, where I think we led the league this year, and being around 54. So that's probably the biggest drop off. In fairness to Troy and whoever, in the other opinions, today is really is my day to sit down and watch the game.
Oh, okay.
So Monday, I mean, I've literally been with the players, all 3 days, and then had the press conference and all that yesterday. So I have not sat down and watched, all 3 phases, play by play yet. So I can't give you.
So you're legitimately going to go today and sit down and watch the game for the first time?
Yeah, from start to finish, correct.
Why?
I've seen. Well,
that's a good question.
All part of the evaluation process.
Okay, so it's not for just to inflict more pain. I mean, you've certainly seen it enough and run it through your mind.
Part of it. I'm not going to enjoy it.
No,
that's part of it. But yeah, because I'm getting ready to go through a lot of conversations, with position coaches, and I have all the information from the player exit interviews. So it's all part of being thorough.
How long does the exit interview last? Are some longer than others? And do you have a script that you go by? Because I find that's such a unique thing in the world to be evaluated like that and have a chance to everybody kind of go away, huddle up, and let's talk about positives, negatives, omission, commission, things like this, and get things back. Do you structure it in a way to find out certain things, or is it kind of an organic thing with every player?
It's both. I mean, it really is. I mean, I think it becomes organic as they get used to it. I mean, it's, last year was the first time that, I'd been through it with our team, and, not every guy's going to come in here and sit down and be, 100% open and so forth. But then eventually the chair in the head coach's office becomes magical, and then they sit down and tell you everything. So, I mean, it's not something that happens overnight. And that's just part of the relationship and that you develop with your players. But this year was awesome. The guys were very forthcoming, because you need feedback, and it's not only just the one conversation, because the follow-ups are really what's most important, because I have topics that in part to your structure, you have topics that you hit, but the goal is to have an organic conversation to how can we both improve. Is there anything we can do better as a football operation in any phases? So it gives a guy a chance to step back and look, and like I've said, I mean, the conversations with players that have been to other places, those are always very beneficial too, because they can give you comparable, context and how we operate here.
Again, I guess another hindsight 2020 question, Coach, is now that we find out, that we did, I'm sure you already knew the extent of Zeke's injury. Hindsight 2020, should Pollard have been getting more of the load? I mean, I know Zeke has been paid. He wants to be out there. He's been a warrior. You talked with him about it. But looking back, do you feel like maybe, maybe we should have given Pollard more of the load?
Well, I think, I think you have to look at what the goal was. And the goal was to have an excellent 1-2 punch. And I think I think the how and how we did it, I
Mm-hmm.
think you have to say, hey, they did a good job because, you know, when you can get the playtime spaced the right way, the most important thing is, and this is the same conversation I had with Zeke, because, you know, he'd like to have the ball more,
Right.
understandably so. But the most important part for us was to get as much production out of both him and Tony, and then come playoff time that we're ready to go with the 1-2 punch. And I think they're ranked second or third in the league as far as total production for a running back.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you're looking for, you know. And I understand in the individual statistic world that's out there, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, we're the number one offense as far as scoring points. But you know, my goal is to be the number one offense, the number one complementary offense. And that's, you know, and I think we clearly did that much better as a football team. I think when it's all said and done, you know, the ranking of our special teams, the offense and defense, you know, we're clearly a much better complementary football team this year than we were last year. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree. In your experience, and have you ever seen a ref 25 yards outside of the play and then come play keep away with the ball from your center? And you know what? You educated me because I don't know who knew this. I didn't know that he didn't have to set the ball. I didn't know that all he had to do was touch it. Because again, all week long it's just been like, well, they got to know to get the ball to him so he can set it. They got to know to get the ball to him to set it. But you educated us yesterday in your press. All he has to do is touch it. But one, he's 25 yards away, and then two, he comes and plays keep away with it. So, and I mean, you did talk about, you know what, maybe after you talked about with Dak, maybe we got to get our timing a little bit better. But they have to share some of the blame in what went on in that last play, as far as the refs go.
Well, I think that, the other thing too is, I mean, trust me, we understand the rules, but more importantly, we understand the officiating mechanics. I mean, it's something that we work on a lot. We train all of our centers, you know, how to spot the ball, exactly
Right.
how the umpire spots the ball. So, and it's something that, you know, we have fast start and furious finish Friday. I mean, Friday is a huge emphasis on, you know, the starting 15 plays of the game, but, you know, also the final plays of the game. So, and then we also rehearse it again, you know, Saturday in game situations. So these are things we've all worked on. Yeah. I mean, the critics that felt that the ball had to be handed to the umpire, so I don't even know how to comment on that, but it's obviously not true. I mean, you know, we have training tapes that go back, you know, decades that we used in training of our team going back to the spring and really more so in training camp when you have more time. But I mean, these are things that are well repped and, you know, and I get it. I mean, you know, when you criticize the Cowboys, you get a lot of clicks. And,
yes.
and that's a good thing for whoever, you know, goes that way. You know, the facts of the matter was it was a sound decision. It was a you know, rep decision, and we got to just be better. Everybody involved needs to be better with the execution.
And so I've heard you talk about this, like I said, yesterday and today. As far as you're concerned, Coach, you're the head coach of the Cowboys next year.
Yes, that's why I'm here with you today. I'm working full speed ahead, and as my conversations with Jerry been it's about, you know, building off the positive things that we accomplished this year and get through, you know, work diligently through this evaluation process and let's get cranking.
Coach, what go ahead, Rudy.
No, the one last thing I want to ask about the game is I feel like San Fran, and I don't know if this is a regular practice. I don't know. Maybe you guys do this. I feel like they may have sent the league ahead some tape because I've watched y'all a lot this year, a lot. And I don't remember you guys. And now we've talked about penalties, but 2 defensive holdings within the line. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. Like, I don't know. That was crazy to see that. And I'm not saying that it wasn't the right call, but I would think you could call that every play. And to see it happen to you guys twice, I was like, did San Fran like alert the refs that this is something that the Cowboys do that you guys need to watch for? How many times have you seen that in all your coaching experiences?
I mean, there's definitely a process. You know, there's a pregame conversation that I usually give them 2 or 3 things. I think this week I had 5 things for them to watch. You know, sometimes you feel like those things go against you. They turn around and go back against you. Maybe sometime we could talk about that. But but that's, yeah. I mean, they watch film, and you have an opportunity to discuss, hey, is there anything I need to make my team aware of, that you're concerned about, and it's usually no, or they'll give you one little thing. So yeah, there's definitely there's
because those were crucial. I think they were both third. They were both third down. I don't know. Those were crucial though.
Oh, yeah, no, our self-inflicted wounds that A, we had too many of them, but B, the timing of them couldn't have been worse, because we had a lot of play extensions and long down the distances that we created on offense. So yeah, we built a lot of situations that were tough to overcome.
Well, this is kind of our exit interview, Coach. You have anything for us? Anything we need to improve on, work on for next season?
No, I think it's great. I think we've crushed it here. I think we broke a record for time on here. So.
Yeah,
I think so.
But the last thing I'll say, Coach,
I wish we were still doing it the next couple of weeks.
Us too.
I hope you get to help them shop for some of the groceries. I know y'all got like 21 free agents. They ask you to do all the cooking, as Bill Parcells said. I hope they let you help out in some of the groceries.
Oh no, I love the personnel process here, the collaboration from Jerry all the way through. So no, we have a very healthy operation here. I think just the way just look at last year. Obviously the first year we had a lot of moving parts, but I really think we're just entering into the beginning of our second year in a lot of ways, because just the things that took a while to get in place. So no, we have an excellent process here.
All right.
Well, Coach, we certainly want to thank you. It's been a good season, 12-6.
Heck yeah.
We're still kind of in the woods, but we'll step away, and I think we'll see the big picture eventually. On a personal note, we can't thank you enough. I've interviewed a lot of coaches over the years, never one more honest and forthright. I never felt like you evaded anything. And one thing you could do for us, tell Jerry to talk to Mrs. Put some curtains up in the stadium.
Yes.
Put some curtains up in the stadium so we're not looking into the light. That's all we ask. Can we put that up toward the man?
For real.
I don't think it'll be part of my exit interview.
Well, Coach, it's been a genuine pleasure. Thank you so much.
You can get that done, okay? I'll let you guys work on it.
We'll write a sternly written letter.
A lot of work to do.
Okay, Coach.
All right, Coach.
We'll see you in Oxnard. Take care of yourself.
All right. Hey, you bet. You guys have a great offseason.
You too.
Head coach Mike McCarthy for his weekly. It's always been a genuine pleasure. Again, we want to thank AA Best Bail Bonds and Ewall Kubota One Fine Tractor for one fine season.